I am absolutely going to testify. I won't even say his name. He is an evil being and is going to pay.
I think that I was just, living in this shame, living in all this sort of stuff of my past, and I wasn't able to move on. It was hard for me being that young and being in the industry and not knowing where to turn, and everyone, telling me they love me and, just turn their back on you in a second.
Combs allegedly planned and controlled the sex performances, which he called freak-offs, and he often electronically recorded them. The freak-offs sometimes lasted days at a time.
What happens when a music mogul's carefully crafted image shatters in a courtroom? The tension, the drama, and a surprising twist involving Justin Bieber might change everything you've heard before. Behind the scenes of the glamorous music industry, dark secrets are exposed, revealing a hidden world of control, manipulation, and silence. This courtroom drama dives deep into long-buried allegations that challenge the power and reputation of one of the biggest names in music. Just as the trial begins, a shocking public statement from Justin Bieber sends shock waves through the courtroom, igniting a powder keg of emotions and unmasking the true cost of fame. This story is not just about the evidence, but about loyalty, betrayal, and the battle to expose truth in an industry that thrives on secrecy. Buckle up, because what unfolds is a gripping saga that no one saw coming. The dark side of the music industry. Behind the glitz and glamour, the music industry hides a dark reality that many seldom see, where powerful figures allegedly controlled and exploited young artists and performers, orchestrating events that sometimes lasted for days. These so-called freak-offs were more than just parties, they were manipulative and damaging ordeals that scarred many lives. The courtroom trial recently brought to light allegations against one such mogul, exposing a side of the industry that fans rarely glimpse. Accusations include orchestrated control, coercion, and a culture that kept victims silent for years, trapped by fear and intimidation. It's a world where trust is fragile and the veneer of success hides exploitation and manipulation. Witnesses described how some artists were isolated, monitored constantly, and threatened if they stepped out of line, turning their bright beginnings into shadows of trauma. What makes this even more shocking is how these patterns of control were allegedly commonplace and an open secret within the inner circles of the industry. The power dynamics were so strong that many felt they had no choice but to comply, fearing for their careers and safety. This trial isn't just about one man, it's a window into systemic issues that have long plagued the entertainment world. The courage of those coming forward is beginning to unravel a culture that thrived on silence, giving new hope that change might finally be possible. But it also makes us ask, how many stories remain hidden, and what will it take for the industry to truly transform? Diddy's courtroom meltdown. On the second day of the trial, a strange calm filled the courtroom. Diddy walked in confidently, surrounded by his expensive legal team. But if you looked closely at his eyes, something was just off. He kept scanning the room like he was looking for someone who might jump out at him. Security was unusually tight, with extra guards positioned near Diddy's table. Not the typical setup for a celebrity trial. Then Cassie entered, drawing everyone's attention. She wore a simple black dress with a white collar, nothing flashy, but it made a clear statement. Her friends formed a protective circle around her, like bodyguards, as they led her to her seat. The stark contrast between Diddy's paid security and Cassie's loyal friends was unmistakable. Throughout this, Diddy couldn't stop checking his phone, scrolling with increasing frustration. At one point, his lawyer had to take the phone from him because his hands were shaking. The prosecution team acted strangely too, whispering and exchanging notes as if expecting something big. Diddy's lawyer tried calming him down multiple times before the judge arrived, but Diddy shrugged him off aggressively, making it clear he was not in control. When the judge entered, her expression signaled trouble, focused immediately on Diddy's table. Moments later, Diddy suddenly slammed his hand on the table, knocking over a water glass that shattered loudly. He whispered something ominous, saying, "I'll make sure he never works in this town again." Neither of them will. His lawyer had to hold him to keep him seated, while the judge sternly warned him to behave or face removal. The tension exploded when text messages and social media posts surfaced, showing Justin Bieber publicly supporting Cassie and accusing Diddy of controlling and threatening her. This revelation visibly shook Diddy, who lost all composure in court, shouting and denying the allegations. Security quickly intervened as Diddy was calmed down, but the damage was done. What was once a picture-perfect image of a music mogul had been shattered before everyone's eyes. The courtroom drama exposed a darker side of the industry and left everyone wondering how much was still hidden. Justin Bieber's unexpected involvement. In the middle of this intense trial, Justin Bieber dropped a bombshell social media post publicly supporting Cassie, revealing personal observations of Diddy's troubling behavior toward her. This unprecedented move by a major star shattered the silence around the allegations and intensified the courtroom drama. Bieber didn't just send vague messages of support, he got specific, writing about being at industry parties where he personally witnessed Diddy's behavior. He mentioned seeing Diddy grab Cassie's arm too hard at an after-party in 2015, and described how Diddy would cut Cassie off mid-sentence, speaking for her during interviews. These weren't just rumors floating around, these were first-hand observations from someone deeply familiar with the industry. Bieber's statement hit especially hard, because of his history with Diddy. They go way back, with videos showing teenage Bieber hanging out at Diddy's parties. Diddy even called himself Justin's mentor and big brother, bragging about helping shape the young star's career. So, Bieber publicly siding with Cassie felt like the ultimate betrayal. The timing couldn't have been worse for Diddy, and the post spread like wildfire in the courthouse hallways, with people huddling in groups, showing each other their phones, and court staff scrambling to manage the sudden explosion of attention. Bieber's caption said he'd always respected Cassie's strength and called her brave and truthful. He admitted he didn't understand earlier the pattern of control he saw, and expressed disappointment in himself for not recognizing the signs. This social media act turned the tide in the courtroom, forcing Diddy to confront not only the allegations but the loss of a high-profile ally. The implications of Bieber's support shook the courtroom and the music industry alike, opening the door for more voices to come forward and changing the dynamic of the entire case. Testimony that exposed control and threats. Cassie's detailed testimony unveiled a disturbing pattern of control, isolation, and threats by Diddy, backed by damning evidence including text messages and hotel footage. Her unwavering composure contrasted sharply with Diddy's unraveling presence, making the allegations feel more credible. The prosecution showed text messages from Diddy to Cassie that made people in the courtroom gasp. In one exchange from 2016, Diddy sent 17 messages in a row demanding to know why she hadn't answered her phone. Another showed him asking for her exact location down to which room she was in at a hotel. One message read, "That's the deal if you want to keep your career." The room got so quiet you could hear the ceiling fans when Cassie described how Diddy controlled who she could talk to in the industry. He had a list of male artists I wasn't allowed to speak with unless he was present. She testified Justin Bieber was one of them. When I asked why, he told me not to question him. When I did anyway, he grabbed my arm in front of everyone at the after-party and whispered that I'd regret it. Cassie's voice never shook or wavered. She spoke clearly about being isolated, monitored, and controlled. The pattern she described matched exactly what Bieber had just shared online: the monitoring, the public control, the private threats. Each detail she provided backed up his statement, making it seem like they had coordinated stories. Though Cassie testified she hadn't spoken to Bieber in years, when the prosecutor asked why she hadn't come forward sooner, her answer hit hard. "He told me nobody would believe me. He said he controlled who worked in this industry and who didn't. I watched him make calls that ended people's careers." Two jurors visibly reacted. One woman wiped tears while an older man wrote something down and underlined it 3 times. The bombshell moment came when prosecutors played hotel security footage from 2018. The video showed Cassie trying to speak to a male artist in a hotel lobby. Then Diddy appeared, put his arm around her, and led her away. The body language matched exactly what she had just described. Diddy immediately leaned over to his lawyer, whispering frantically and pointing at the screen. Cassie referenced specific events with amazing detail: dates, locations, who else was present. March 8, 2017. At the Standard Hotel in New York, June 22, 2017. At his house in Miami, September 12, 2018. Backstage at the VMAs. Each time she named a date, Diddy's lawyer frantically flipped through his notes, looking increasingly worried. She mentioned that other witnesses had been afraid to speak up, but were now contacting her lawyers after seeing Bieber's support. "My phone hasn't stopped with messages from people saying they're ready to tell what they saw," she said. Then came the statement that made Diddy completely lose control. Cassie testified that after she once spoke to Bieber at an industry party, Diddy pulled her aside and said, "Even Justin knows what happens to people who cross me." With Bieber now publicly supporting her, this threat suddenly looked incredibly damning. As Cassie continued testifying, you could literally watch Diddy falling apart. Each new detail that connected to Bieber's statement made him fidget more, whisper more urgently to his lawyer, and look more panicked. The confident music mogul was disappearing right before everyone's eyes. Weeks after the initial filing, Busby submitted an amended complaint naming Jay-Z as the celebrity who allegedly participated. They wanted copies of these videos for themselves. "I've talked to lawyers about this before. There's a big advantage to having the electronic video evidence yourself. You don't have to always go over to the other office. You can view the materials on your own. It's a way to better prepare for your defense." Shankum's lawyers argued that under federal rules of criminal procedure, electronic data that is in the government's possession should be accessible to the defense. Judge Submanian denied the defense's motion to amend the protective order, but without prejudice, meaning this issue could be revisited. This testimony laid bare a complex web of intimidation and control that had remained hidden for years, exposing how power was wielded to silence and manipulate. Cassie's courage and the evidence she presented gave the court a rare glimpse into a world where fear dictated careers and personal freedom was compromised. It was a pivotal moment that shifted the trial's momentum and shed light on the stark reality behind the allegations. The courtroom's intense atmosphere and reactions. Every reaction in the courtroom mattered, from jurors visibly shaken, shifting their seats away from Diddy, to legal experts exchanging knowing looks. Security was noticeably tighter than usual, with officers strategically positioned around the room, not just to maintain order, but to keep a close watch on Diddy's increasingly volatile behavior. The tension in the air was palpable, thick enough to be cut with a knife. As the prosecution unveiled damning evidence, jurors leaned forward, hanging on every word. Some wiped away tears while others took meticulous notes, showing just how deeply the testimony impacted them. Meanwhile, Diddy's confident demeanor was fading fast. He fidgeted nervously, running his hand over his face and loosening his tie as if the room was closing in on him. When he suddenly slammed his hand on the table, causing a glass to shatter, silence instantly fell over the room. His whispered threats only heightened the drama, prompting the judge to demand order with firm authority. The whole courtroom witnessed a raw and unfiltered meltdown that contrasted sharply with the composed, calculated public image Diddy usually projected. Legal professionals watching the trial couldn't help but comment on the clear unraveling of a once powerful figure. The judge's decision to impose new security measures and order a psychiatric evaluation underscored the seriousness of the situation, sending a clear message that such outbursts would not be tolerated. This wasn't just a trial about evidence, it was a battlefield of emotions and control, where every glance, gesture, and word was scrutinized. The atmosphere set the stage for a dramatic showdown that captivated all who witnessed it. The impact of celebrity loyalty breaking down. Bieber's decision to break the silence, and publicly support Cassie, shattered the unspoken code among celebrities, a code that has long protected the powerful from scrutiny. This isn't just a social media post, but a seismic shift in how stars interact behind the scenes. For years, industry insiders have talked about loyalty as sacred, a form of protection that keeps secrets buried and reputations intact. But when someone like Justin Bieber, with over 270 million followers, openly calls out behavior he witnessed firsthand, it sends a clear message: times are changing. The fallout was immediate, with Diddy's meltdown in court revealing just how much this felt like a betrayal. No longer could the accuser be dismissed as a lone voice, or the allegations be swept aside as rumors. Bieber's backing added undeniable credibility, forcing the public and legal teams alike to reconsider everything. This breakdown in celebrity loyalty opens the door for others to speak up, breaking decades of silence in Hollywood's secret world of power struggles and control. As more stars step forward, the industry will face mounting pressure to address these systemic issues, and confront the toxic dynamics long hidden behind fame and fortune. What seemed like a simple gesture of support has evolved into a catalyst for change, changing the game and challenging the very culture that once kept all of this in the shadows. The lasting impression and the unfolding story. As the trial continues, the clash of characters revealed in those courtroom days suggests this case is about much more than facts. It's a battle of truth, power, and reputation that could redefine how the industry handles accountability and protection. Each moment in that courtroom peeled back layers of a secret world where silence protected the powerful, but cracks are now showing. The confident music mogul, once untouchable, is losing control right before everyone's eyes, and the brave voices stepping forward signal a turning tide. This isn't just a legal battle, it's a cultural reckoning that might finally bring long overdue change. The world is watching as old alliances fracture and new truths emerge, leaving us all to wonder who will have the courage to speak next. What started as whispers behind closed doors has exploded into the open, changing everything about how we see the industry forever. The fallout from these revelations will ripple far beyond the courtroom, reminding us that sometimes the biggest stories are not just about what happens in court, but about the voices that refuse to be silenced and the power they hold to rewrite history. This courtroom drama isn't just another celebrity scandal, with allies turning into whistleblowers and powerful images crumbling. It marks a pivotal moment in exposing a culture long kept in the shadows. The question now isn't just what will happen to Diddy, but who else will dare to speak up, breaking the unspoken code that has protected many for years. Justin Bieber's bold move has opened the floodgates, signaling a massive shift in Hollywood's secret dynamics, where loyalty is questioned and truth begins to take center stage. As the trial unfolds, the battle of truth, power, and reputation continues to reshape the industry's future, revealing that no one, no matter how powerful, is untouchable. This story is far from over, and the world will be watching closely to see who else steps forward, and what consequences will follow. It's a moment of reckoning, not just for individuals, but for an entire system that has long been hidden. The courtroom scenes showed us that courage and persistence can crack even the strongest facades, and perhaps inspire a new era of accountability and protection for those who have long suffered in silence.